Welcome back to Journey to Novelist. This channel focuses on new writers and those writers new to pursuing the goal of becoming a published author. This particular playlist is focused on budget software that is designed for writers. That is, all of them offer some sort of tool that either helps you plot and plan your novel, stay organized while you're writing your novel, or in some cases provides you a distraction-free work area. All of these softwares you can obtain for $30 or less, and they can be downloaded and used on a desktop system without the need for a constant internet connection while you're working. Now, many of these do use the internet in order to authenticate, register, or provide updates for the software. So this precludes us from including any type of a cloud service software as part of the offerings in this list. We've so far gone over 9 different softwares that you can find in other videos in this playlist, and they are shown up here at the top of my screen. They are WriteWay Pro, YWriter 7, Snowflake Pro, Babisco, Wavemaker, New Novelist, Storyweaver 3, Focuswriter, and FreeWriter. All of these softwares are budget friendly. Some of them are older softwares, and some of them are newer and still in development. All of these softwares at least run on a Windows 10 system, which is what I'm running here, and some of them also have either a Mac offering or a Linux offering. So you can check those out. Today we're going to go ahead and add 2 more softwares to this list of budget-friendly softwares. And these 2 are Shakespeare and Quoll Writer. It's a little bit hard for me to say today, but both of these offerings are completely free. Now we're going to look at Shakespeare first, and Shakespeare is a software that can be downloaded from www.shakespeare.com, and this software has a pro version which is $7.99 per month, but they also have a free version. Now, since the $7.99 per month is beyond our $30 budget, we are going to look mostly at the offerings of the free version. But if we look at the web page where the pricing structure for the 2 is shown in a comparison, you'll see that the free section has almost all the same features that the Pro does. The Pro just adds a few things having to do with the thesaurus, some multi-device support, and export to EPUB, version control, and custom themes. All the main features that you need in order to use the software to develop manuscript are part of the free version. So there is both a Windows and a Macintosh offering in this software. So we are looking at the Windows version. So let's go ahead and take a look at this software. So now I've logged into my software using my email and password, and this is the screen I get. Now, I've been in here a couple of times. If this was my first time in, there would simply be a welcome message on this particular screen. Right here you have your profile, which the profile just has a place for your name and an image of yourself, which I did not put in. The billing, as I said, it gives you a place to put in credit card information, but you don't have to do this, and that would give you your $7.99 per month for the Pro version. So I don't need to do anything with this one because I'm just going to be using the free version. Then it has an area for books, short stories, articles, and ideas. And if you hit this little plus, then you have a place to create new content. Now, I've already added a few things to the software. I added a folder here called Series Fallen Archers, which is a folder under my books heading. And I've added a book called Golden Arrows under this. So if I wanted to add a new book, I could hit this Create Content button and choose what I wanted to create. So I'm going to create another fiction book by hitting Fiction, and then over here I can give it a title. And then I have the option of giving a subtitle, an author, a publisher, and an ISBN number. You'll see what the default is included in the fiction book. There's an overview, linguistics, sentiment, Export Synopsis Manuscript Notebook, and under Notebook there are characters, places, and themes as your default objects. Now, the manuscript is where you would actually do your writing, so you could add content here and add perhaps a front matter, where you could add information about your novel, or you could go ahead and add in a chapter. And now I have 2 untitled chapters. So this first chapter I will title Chapter 1. And my second chapter I will title Chapter 2. And then I have an area here that I could begin to write. Now I can go to full screen mode here, and I have a bigger area to write. And down here at the bottom I have some alignment tools, bolding, italicizing, underlining, some bullet list options, indentation, block quotes, and a horizontal line insert. I can also choose the style of my headings, and I can identify whether I want huge, large, medium, small, or tiny text. So let's go ahead and do large so I can better see things. And this would be Chapter 2. He ran. Now I have a Chapter 2. Now over in this side here you can add pictures and you can add connections to other parts of your book. And if you highlight something in here, you also have the option to insert comments. So over here I could now put a comment. Choose better word. There, that's better. So now I have a comment there and it's underlined, so I know where the comment is attached. So now you can see that my word count has gone up and my minutes of writing has gone up. And now I have 2 books listed in my home page, which I can drag and drop them into whatever order I need. You also have a choice of themes by clicking this button here. You can choose different color schemes for the software. And I think I might go for this purple color. You can also add cover art. So I'm going to find an image very quickly. Perhaps this picture as my cover art or a placeholder for my cover art. As you can see, this is a book I was playing around with, and I've added an Act 1. I have 3 chapters and I have a scene listed here. So whenever I go to the export, I have an option of what I want to include in the export by toggling things on and off to be included. Now, with the free version, you can export as HTML or docs. With the Pro version, you also have EPUB as a choice. I have added some other options in my notebook to include races, where I have a vampire, and I've added a picture here, which is easy to do with this Add Picture button. And this is basically what Shakespeare is. It has a place to keep track of items, put information about characters, and write your manuscript. I'm sure there are other features that are hidden. I know that there is also a spell check down here. And when you turn that on, you also get some highlights as to the positive or negative connotations that certain words give. So you'll see here I have a lot of negative type words and a lot of positive words. So this is Shakespeare. If you're interested in this software, then you can go to shakespeare.com and download the software for use. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this, and we'll move on to the other software we were going to look at today, and that's Quoll Writer. Quoll Writer is also a free software. It has no paid version as far as I can tell. The version I downloaded was version 2.16.14, and it is a Windows version of the software. Now, I wanted to say that this is a Windows-only software, but whenever I look at the web page for the software, there is a note here that says version 3 is coming soon, and it's available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. And if I wanted to try the beta, I could click here. So this makes me believe that version 3 is available for multiple platforms, and the older version, the version 2 that I'm running, is Windows only. So I downloaded this version because I did not want to test the beta. And I went into the software and began to do some writing. So let's take a look at this software. Because I've been in the software before, it opens the last book I was working on, and I was playing around with this one called Sample Book. If I hit my little X to close it here, it goes back to the main screen, which simply lists your projects. Now I have two here, a sample book and a silly book. And if I wanted to get rid of one of these, I could just open it up and then over here in the side say delete project, confirm it with a yes, and say yes, delete, and that book is gone. Many of the features of Quoll Writer are not obvious, so we'll take you through these. This software is available at quollwriter.com for download, in case I didn't mention that earlier. From this start screen, you can hit this plus button to start a new project, and it simply asks you a name for the project. So I'm going to put a name here, and we'll call this one the review book. And you have a choice of encrypting, but I'm not going to do that, so I'll say create. And this is what a default book looks like. You have the name of the book up here. You have a first chapter started, and this is your writing area. You have characters, locations, items, research items, notes, and a place for editors. So I could begin writing my chapter 1 here by giving a heading. So this is our chapter 1, and I'm just going to start writing a sentence here. Now you can see down here that chapter 1 has a tab of its own, and we can actually hit this button here to add another chapter, and we'll call it chapter 2. So far this software seems pretty intuitive at this point, because all you're doing is hitting an add button and doing some typing. But there are hidden things. If you click here and say text properties, you have some options for how your screen looks. We can change the font, the size of the font, the alignment, the text border width, the indentations, the ability to highlight a line when you're writing, a background color, so I could change my background to perhaps a beige color. And the text color could also be changed. So if I close this here and I'll go back to chapter 1, you see that now my chapter is showing on this beige background. I don't necessarily have to keep with the default items here, but I can add other categories. I can hit this here and say add a new type of object or add and manage tags. So I'm going to add a new type of object. And it comes up with a dialog box that says widget and what the plural of that is, widgets. And I could change this to something else. I could say worlds and worlds, and change my icon if I had some other GIFs to put in there, but I'm going to leave it at the default star as my new one. And then you can actually add additional fields that you might find necessary. And if I wanted to, I could now add a new world. And here is my custom object. If I come up to this icon here, I have a bunch of other options I can use, such as creating targets, importing files, idea board, a warm-up option where I can have it give me a prompt so I can warm up for the day. I have an idea board where I can add ideas for chapters and items and characters, and here I can actually set a background color for this or background pattern, and I can also even add my own photos as a background. If you're using your own photos though, you're going to want to make sure that they are of a size that works properly as a background. So I'm going to go back to that green circle one. You also have the ability to work in an expanded view. And when you're working in this view, when you mouse up to the top, you get your heading. And if you mouse to the side, you get your menu. So I can move to chapter 2 here. And as you see, I have it set to a totally different style for this full screen view. I also have the ability to put it onto a distraction-free mode that moves my writing to the center of the screen so that as I write, and I continue to write stuff, it always keeps my text right in the middle of the screen. Now as far as this bar here in the middle, that's a highlight option, and if you do your text properties, you'll find that there's actually a setting here that you can toggle on and off as to whether or not it highlights the line you are currently typing on. And you can of course change the color for that. You also have the ability in this screen, and this was something I did not realize when I first started playing around with this, is you can change the size of this window that you are typing in. So if you have a very large screen like I do, that's very wide, it's hard to follow your text all the way across the screen. So using this, I can narrow my text to more of a paper size area. And I can also include borders around that white area or not include them. So I think that's a good way to work, and I can change my font. And I can also change my line spacing. And the settings that you have in full screen mode are completely independent of the settings for the window view. Now you see each thing I have open is down here at the bottom. So my idea board, my world notes, my chapter 2 and my chapter 1. To close one of these, I can just hit the X to close them up. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this and go back to the book I was working on earlier, this sample book, to show you one little thing that is included in Quoll Writer that you might miss. I have a character here named Bob Smith, and when I open that, you'll see down here it tells me that Bob Smith appears in chapter 1, and it shows me exactly where Bob appears. Now Bob has his name, Bob Smith, and he has an alias of Bob. I'm going to go ahead and close Bob Smith here, and in chapter 2 I'm going to write a little bit about Bob. Bob Smith came in late to work again. Now if I open up Bob Smith, you'll see now I have a point where Bob is mentioned in chapter 1 and Bob is also mentioned in chapter 2. So that's something that could be very helpful as you're using this software. You have links and documents you can add in here, and those files are added into the Bob Smith area, so I won't lose them. Quoll Writer seems to have quite a bit to offer in the way it handles things and its text options. There are different types of items you can add here. You can add in chapters, locations, and you can add your own types of items to the items list. You can add in locations that track much like characters do, that if you mention them in the appears in will show up here for your story. You can add notes into your chapters. So here in chapter 1 you see I have a couple places where I've added notes, and if I click on those it says this is a color note, and this one here says these are about the beats, and that is a feature of Quoll Writer as well. There's also an option for using an editor service, which you can sign up for and be an editor, or have somebody else edit your text. And that is on an individual basis. They don't really have a lot of control over it. The feature is there, but you have to trust the person you're sending your manuscript to. There are no warranties involved. So that is Quoll Writer, and if this looks like an interesting type of software for you, you can go to quollwriter.com right here and download the software. You can download either the version I'm showing and try it out for yourself if you wanted to, and this software is completely free. So check out these two softwares. You'll find links to the download areas in the descriptions, and this is all part of the software that is under $30. And I hope some of this information is helpful for you. Let me know by commenting, subscribe to the channel if you're finding the content interesting and useful, and come back again next time we have a video on either software or possibly on some other topic that might be interesting to you.